Welcome to Liberty Ukraine. I'm Tetiana. Today, our guest is businessman and political blogger Denis Yalisevich. Welcome, Denis.
Hello, Tetiana and viewers.
The topic of our conversation remains the same: peace and war in Ukraine. Today, even in America, people are now saying it's time to create a victory fund for Ukraine. This fund will be financed by China, and it is America that is proposing its creation. China will be financing it involuntarily, so to speak. And America will impose tariffs of 500% on those goods that China will import into America. This money will be kept in some way, and then weapons will be provided to Ukraine with it, like Tomahawk, for example. It is absolutely necessary, says Trump, to secure Europe's support. But the idea itself, how do you perceive it? How do you react to it? The Ukraine Victory Fund, is it good or bad?
It sounds good, but I still believe that all of this is, let's say, playing into Putin's ear. They're showing Xi Jinping one thing and Putin another, with Russia acting as a proxy for China. People need to realize this. The trade war, the war in Ukraine, it's all connected. Once final agreements are reached, everything will be interconnected and negotiated as a whole. It's a huge chain. I'll believe it when it's actually implemented. I want to warn you about one more thing. Imagine all of this is true and will happen just like that. Trump should set clear terms for Zelensky to end it. But then you hold elections, for example, in the spring or summer of next year, and you don't run anymore, and no one from your team runs either. You just leave politics. That's when, yes. But if you pump all this up and, in a sense, let Zelensky win, not Ukraine, mind you, but Zelensky, then things will go badly for us. Because citizens, whether they leave under Zelensky, with the victory fund or with nothing, they are leaving. People abroad, just as they have no intention of returning, an overwhelming majority, about 90%, still won't come back. People aren't coming back, and people are leaving because of Zelensky and his team, not because of the war. Or is Ukraine bad? Ukraine is great, but its government and the state are terrible. The country and people are fine.
That's the situation. If this victory fund is really created and starts working, and under your stated conditions, Zelensky won't run in the spring elections. So we will be launching missiles at Russia, and Russia will respond. People will suffer, and Ukraine may face devastation like Gaza, where we saw only ruins. We also face power outages, water and gas shortages. So we must save gas as much as possible. Today we saw such a statement. Do you think we can endure in this mode with Tomahawks until spring?
Of course not. People will endure, but everything will be destroyed. Many will be casualties, and there will be a blackout. That's the reason why I don't believe in the implementation of all these plans, because I just understand what it will lead to. I completely understand that Trump also gets all of this. That's why I don't fully believe in it. I have a bit of information, but now we'll talk, people will watch, then they'll open the news and some loud headline will pop up. They'll either believe it and get really happy or get really upset. In reality, everything is much more complicated. You mentioned the 500% tariffs on China, which will fund Ukraine. That's the second link in the chain, and the third link is Venezuela. Because the military operation in Venezuela, which I think will definitely happen this year, will also affect Ukraine. Why? Because it's about oil supply, you see, it's all interconnected. I'm just sorry things are turning out this way since Trump is still president. If Ukraine had an adequate president, of course, we could have built truly serious economic relations with America, maybe even become allies.
But I think that not everything is lost for us yet. Tomorrow, negotiations will take place. Today, we learned Trump called Putin. Why do you think he called, and what did they discuss?
By the way, once again, most likely we'll talk with you now and then see later. Trump should report or make a statement about this later. I think he will. Well, kind of a chance for Putin. Look, Zelensky is coming tomorrow. If you and I come to some kind of agreement now, work out some kind of plan, and you give me your word, we stop. If you stop, Zelensky comes tomorrow, I praise him and send him back. But if you continue, Zelensky comes tomorrow. Well, let's say, as you say, they give Tomahawks, announce some kind of fund. So they'll say a lot more things so that Putin sits and understands that it's time to finish. As Trump says, it's time to stop killing Ukrainians and Russians. Putin and Zelensky both don't care about people. Let's check me tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday because we're talking on Thursday evening. If tomorrow it's about weapons like we'll give you, people, I guarantee that tomorrow Zelensky will be smiling in the White House, happy and enjoying life, because he'll be able to compete with Putin in one more way, to show what a cool guy he is, at America's expense and at the cost of Ukrainian lives. And he'll be absolutely thrilled. If Trump and Putin make a deal now and he doesn't get what he wants, it'll be the worst day of his life.
Regarding this victory fund, it's not just about America and China. It's also about the fact that Europe needs to get involved. The question is about the Europeans, since Ursula says she's concerned. We need to care about Europe, but they're not ready to impose sanctions. Scholz says that he is ready to work for Ukraine's victory. 2 billion euros were allocated yesterday, and today Patriots will be provided. They say they will provide some more weapons, but they are not ready to impose sanctions on China. Whether America will impose them if Europe doesn't is one question. Another is Trump's stance. They say what happened with India will happen with China too. And we see that India, as they said earlier, that they would not buy oil from Russia. And now we see that they have increased their purchases several times and continue to buy. What do you have to say about that?
We discussed this with you about a month ago, I think. Back then, I said I don't believe in Europe at all. Europe will continue to trade with China. Europe will continue to trade with Russia. From what I know, this talk about Tomahawks was started by Trump, partly to push Scholz to give Taurus missiles to Ukraine. And there could be some kind of combination, just in theory. Tomahawks are given, but giving them and launching them at Russia are two different things. And along with them will come Tauruses from Germany. And Tauruses could very easily be launched at Russia. So that's the story. Scholz's caution is understandable. Germany is in an economic crisis. They have socialism. There's no way out. Illegal migrants have flooded Europe, including Germany, and many are bad people. The crisis will keep going on. Just look at Europe. They're not making any radical changes. Right now, Europe needs what it was built on. Great Europe, great America, on freedoms, on economic freedom. People need to be given a chance to breathe. Also, I think it was either on your show or not. Take the ranking of the 50 largest companies in the world. Not a single European one. Everything is overregulated. Money doesn't move. Nothing is possible. There's no entrepreneurial spirit. In Ukraine, despite many problems and people like Hetmantsev, economic saboteurs, the entrepreneurial spirit is far stronger than in Europe. It's something to think about. Well, maybe it's still there in Poland. Not maybe, it really is still in Poland, but nowhere else in the entire European Union. That's why I don't believe in Europe. They'll just keep pretending to be busy all the time. Remember the previous trip, Zelensky and the European leaders at the White House. They were hugging and kissing. Looking at the picture, it seems a breakthrough is coming. Putin, Zelensky, and everyone else will get what they deserve, and the war will end. They went their own ways, each doing their thing. He gave a very cautious interview there. The world is a very tough place right now, and now is the time for much tougher people, those who can make hard decisions, more radical leaders. But these softies, they're the ones who led to the crisis.
And who is a radical leader in the world besides Trump and Javier Milei? If not them, then who else?
Salvador. You've basically named them all. Netanyahu is a radical leader. Among Europeans, Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, stands out. But she stands out because, let's say, Europe is already in such a state of shock that compared to them, she really stands out a lot. She actually does more. In Italy, the Supreme Court prevents her from implementing reforms due to how their system works. They essentially have a monopoly. They pass a law, but the court cancels it. She tries to deport illegal migrants, but the Supreme Court blocks it. That's it. And even as a super prime minister, you can't change it. That's exactly why we need to live differently. I can't name anyone else. Everyone else. Well, I can still name Orban, Nawrocki, Poland, but they don't have the same level of influence when we're talking about leaders, about Italy, France, Germany. France and Germany are the leaders and main drivers of the European Union with the largest economy. Well, that's how it is. Orban, Nawrocki, Meloni, that's all.
Let's finish this topic about Tomahawks. And now we've started talking about how they're going to launch them. So Trump says that if he gives them to Ukraine, only Americans will operate them. They won't teach Ukrainians how to operate them. And Russia says that this is just absurd. What do you think about this? I'm curious, how will they launch them from Ukrainian territory? Yes, that's clear. It won't be Ukrainians launching them, but America already will. So will this be a war involving Trump too, or just Biden? Or will it be a war involving Biden, Trump, and Zelensky? What will it be?
That's the key point, and I've already told you why I don't believe in it. I understood completely. Thank God for artificial intelligence. I'm not a military or weapons expert, but I can quickly understand how it works. I immediately understood, Ukrainians ourselves, we won't launch this. Americans will be needed. And if it's an American pressing the button, Russia will understand that. That's direct involvement of America in the war. Trump isn't afraid of that in terms of something. But he understands that this could trigger a chain of events that, let's not go into deep meanings, are not politically beneficial for him. Because the Make America Great Again movement and America First are about people who want to focus on America, to pursue a more isolationist policy. And now, right before the elections, they'll say to Trump, Congress will say, wait, you were running on one thing and now you're getting involved in a war. A confrontation with Russia? That's why Trump opposed. I'm not saying he can't do it. He's determined and a leader, he can. But I just don't see it in the whole picture. I just don't see it. He can come right up to the red line just to show Putin in response, look, I can be ruthless too. I don't have a red line either, just like you. And Putin, with all his swagger, with everything, in this sense, I support the head of NATO. He said, well, yes, Putin can bluff, but our economy is 20 times bigger. No matter how you look at it, we have more resources. That's why they just let Putin get way out of hand. You understand? He should have been stopped much earlier, but they let him feel truly great and all-powerful.
How do you picture this scene? What will happen? Tomorrow, Zelensky will come to Trump. It depends on what Trump discusses with Putin today, how they talk about it. If it comes to peace, then what will happen? Then Zelensky will simply say that he agrees to all these conditions and he will sign them. Ukraine will enter a phase of peace. Are we holding elections or not?
I want to say this publicly to everyone, including you. Now we've entered a period starting around autumn, or even at the end of summer, when it seems like there's a lot in the news, but in reality, it's just a lot of fuss. That's just 10, 20%. 80% happens behind the scenes. When the press claimed all negotiations failed and everything in Alaska was pointless, negotiations are ongoing and very serious. And that's why now, tomorrow actually, in fact, Friday could be a completely unpredictable day. There could be completely different scenarios, but we won't learn the whole concept from the television screens, everything in detail. To really understand, we'll figure it out without insider info or talking to anyone, just through indirect signs. We'll examine actions and how things happen. Well, you can read a lot from Zelensky's face, but if you're expecting Zelensky to come out and say, well, peace is almost here, elections are soon, never. Today, Budanov said the war will last several more years, so nothing will change. We're doomed to fight on, with no life ahead. They stick to this line because it benefits them. As soon as you tell people now that peace is coming soon, they really don't want that, because people relax and people start demanding things, freedoms, and something else. But when you frighten people by saying, be grateful a Shahed drone hasn't come through your window, and a person who's all scared thinks, well, at least I'm alive, I woke up today, thank God. That's their strategy right now, to keep everyone in fear.
There are reasons for this, and we're going to talk about those reasons with you now, because that's also a very interesting topic. But I want to encourage everyone to subscribe to Denis Yelisevich's channel, because tomorrow evening, I think there will definitely be a stream as well. There you'll find an interesting analysis of current events. Subscribe first to the Liberty Ukraine channel. Here you hear different opinions, see different guests, and you can analyze it critically, because people are anxious. A similar conflict occurred in Ternopil region and has been discussed for 2 days. It all started when former football player Serhiy Zadorozhny was at a hypermarket with his wife. They tried to send him to the Territorial Recruitment Center, but he had a deferment as a coach. But the Territorial Recruitment Center blocked his ability to leave. He couldn't leave, and he and his wife sat there in their car for 24 hours. He had no food or water, and it's unknown how he escaped. His family, including 2 children, waited at home. But while he was in his car, people came and started shouting that the employees of the TCC should be ashamed. The TCC claimed that people were resisting, and that's why it's necessary to send them to the combat units of the armed forces of Ukraine. These people are expected to be trusted and respected because they are former military personnel. Thus, information is spreading about the 3rd Brigade, the 3rd Assault, the separate brigade. Staff from there were involved. And when these employees started working in Ternopil region, they began to abuse the people, like demanding money from someone. They confiscated the car, took the man outside the city, stripped him, and forced him to run as they saw fit. And this caused resistance from society. The police got involved. The police charged 6 people with suspicion, and 1 more is awaiting charges. How would you comment on this? These are military personnel, defenders who protect us, whom we should trust. By the way, we discussed this with you. I don't remember this girl, but she said that we should respect only the military and trust them. That's what happened. Who should we trust? The police, the Territorial Recruitment Center? What do you say?
Those were our guys. Our guys did it. That's what I can say. I never understood why people dislike me. I have so many problems in Ukraine and I've never lived by empty words. With all due respect to the military, and I know many of them, we interact, but we can't make any claims. Anyone in military uniform is good. Anyone without one is bad. There are different people everywhere. I've already been told today about what the 3rd Assault Brigade did. I basically know all the information. I don't know how they're going to justify themselves, but everyone already knows everything. This isn't the first incident, not the first incident. Why is this known now and not just about them? Why specifically today? I suspect this is all about the elections. That is, Bileki are planning to run and they're slowly being taken down. That's one version. I'm not claiming it as a fact. As for everything else, what did you expect? Not you personally, but those people who are stirring things up, what did you expect? They need money to feed their families. Many of these people, just like in ordinary life, weren't very successful, let's say accomplished. Let's use the right word, accomplished. Now they have every chance to make up for what they've missed this way. Of course, they will do it. Of course, they will do it. That's why the government will have a lot of work, as this could become a real problem. I'll tell you more. In Europe, there are serious discussions going on about introducing a special regime right after the war ends, despite the visa-free agreement with Ukraine, to introduce a special regime, to write some separate directive and implement a special regime. Because they perfectly understand that groups may form who will go there to visit relatives, for example, and start having certain combat skills or drone operation skills, getting involved in or forming criminal organizations, and causing chaos in Europe. And Europe absolutely doesn't need that. Many have wives in Europe. So there will be serious work done on this. Let me tell you this, all of this could have been prevented. But when you give an indulgence, when you give, as Balashov says, a license for dishonor, this is how it ends. Things are not going well for us, and there's a lot of work to do.
Yesterday, we hosted a psychiatrist who said people are dependent and expectant while authorities live in illusions and delusions. That's how we would like it to be. I believed returning soldiers would get salaries, pensions, and psychological, financial, and physical support, and that families who lost everything would also be helped. Money is allocated for this, and people prefer it that way. So why can't it be done? Why can't we want this?
We don't have money for this. The system was always there. Here's my suggestion. We found out about the war later, but Zelensky knew in October 2021. What prevented us from creating a model using the American recruiting system and making forecasts back then? Americans have the data on this. Invite experts. Right now, we just need to hold on. And how we manage to hold on doesn't matter at all. This causes many problems. For them, it's lawlessness somewhere out there. It happens often. The front is stable, which is good. Over there, you can do whatever you want. Kill, rob, anything. Of course, the most outrageous case was probably already handled by the police special forces, as far as I know. There's no point in talking about it. No money, no money. You understand? There's no money. We must support the military and give them what they deserve. Absolutely, yes, but this needs to be done through internal economic measures. Don't give us Europe and we'll pass it on to the military. We have a lot of free land that belongs to the state. Let's settle with land. Let's work with banks and create real mortgages. But this nonsense, try to get it. It's only for a select few. These are the things that need to be done. We need a system for life. We need to build all of this. And this imposes certain obligations on them in civilian life. None of this exists. None of this exists. There are just some empty promises. But I'll tell you this, America is a super successful country. There's a high percentage of military personnel here with psychological and mental issues. Imagine what it would be like for us. Far fewer people have actually seen real combat, especially considering how our government operates.
There is only hope. We have to hope and stay sane. I'll make a quick announcement. Subscribe to the Liberty Ukraine channel. Today, the country's main witch warned in an interview that severe attacks are coming to Kyiv, which could knock out television access by targeting the towers. So please, everyone, subscribe to our channel, because sometimes foreigners accuse us of not being in touch with reality. Stay with us to stay updated on real events and connected with us as we continue discussing territorial recruitment centers. Volodymyr Zelensky appointed Olha Reshetilova as the military ombudsman today because it's necessary to protect people, the military personnel who are mistreated by their commanders, who are dissatisfied with their situation, who want better conditions for themselves. Here's Dmytro Kukarchuk, a well-known figure. He said that homeless people are now being brought to the territorial recruitment centers and mobilized. These people need protection because things didn't work out for them in life. What do you think? Is Olha Reshetilova able to do something to help people?
Olha Reshetilova will serve the system regardless of who is in it. Ombudsmen are ineffective, none work. There are already ombudsmen for every area. Every country has just one human rights protector. Here, rights are violated, and they've created a language ombudsman. All sorts of lawlessness happen there, which they justify. So it's just pointless to discuss it. Kuchachuk's comments are here too. We can all see it clearly. It's a big crisis. Everyone can see that it's impossible to keep fighting. The war needs to be stopped. Nobody wants to fight anymore. On the other hand, when you look at the comments, bots are shouting, go on, go on. Or those who have left are shouting, let's go back to 91. It's been clear to me for a long time where all this is heading and where we've ended up. And there's really nothing to discuss about these particular points. And about the witch, as you said, well, let's just say, without mentioning any names. If a girl splits her time equally between being an escort and a witch recruited by intelligence agencies, it's just a circus. And unfortunately, only in our countries, in the post-Soviet ones, can people believe in this. It's when countries are in crisis, when there's no money. All this surfaces, and in desperation and hopelessness, people are willing to believe anything. I urge people to use their heads and common sense. People talk about how religious our country is, so we must choose a religion or all this. Otherwise, what kind of religion is it? We believe in witches, yet can't legalize marijuana or prostitution due to orthodoxy, despite being a secular state. It's a bulldog-rhinoceros mix. That's what this is.
She's no expert, yet claims to be the country's main witch. But I'm worried that if there are attacks on television towers and the only news becomes unavailable, people should come to our channel. We will be available to you, and so will our guests. Let's finish with a phrase from Natalia Sumskaya. She is a people's artist of Ukraine and gave an interview today. During the interview, she came up with a very interesting idea. She says that for children to speak Ukrainian in the future, they need to stop swearing in Russian. For this, during literature class, we should have a few minutes dedicated to swearing so that students know how well you can swear in Ukrainian. Such contradictions, the people's artist of Ukraine wants to hear swearing. Do you think she's right?
Wait, is that Ola Sumska?
Natalia Sumska.
I only know Ola. I don't know who that is, but that's already... If that wasn't a joke and was serious, then someone's losing their mind slowly. That's all. You understand? When a country... we can see this very clearly in Russian. When a country slides into obscurantism, we end up with monstrous things. We see it and have caught it too, experiencing the same thing. That is... when some nonsense happens, the state doesn't react. The authorities even approve of it and, let's say, encourage it. Sooner or later, we end up with complete schizophrenia, and this moment is slowly approaching. So, we see Korchinsky coming out and saying that civilians should be shot. These are things that, if shown to any neutral person, they'd say this is either fascism or madness. We've reached this point, and the country needs a cure. Recovery will take time, but it's possible. We've already discussed this. It's a different message and signal. Opportunities for people. And this nonsense won't influence people, but for now, it will continue to thrive.
Please also share your prediction of what Trukhanov can achieve in court. His citizenship was revoked and his passport taken. At that time, it was said he didn't have a Russian passport. He said he was ready for a polygraph. His lawyer then revealed there were actually 3 passports, not just one. He renewed one of them. The passport is valid. Trukhanov says he'll go to court believing he's still Odessa's mayor. What do you think he'll achieve there?
Yesterday in another interview, I said the state always has another bullet. Trukhanov won't oppose the special services while in Ukraine. He can't act. He'll lose in court, they'll delay the case, and masked people will show up at court. In short, they might try to eliminate Trukhanov, and no one will be able to do anything. Although I understand that it might be dangerous, but it's very respectable, let's say, with history. You could even say with some kind of reputation, although that's rare these days. The publications completely tore all of this apart. Artificial intelligence also says that all of this is fake. First, it's preparation for the elections, and second, it's a usurpation of power. I've heard, though I'm still verifying, that this Lysuk, who became mayor and is in security service of Ukraine officer, is Maliuk's godfather. So I want to say this again, when the security service starts running the country, it's even worse than having some bad rulers who don't carry out reforms. Because the example is right there across the border in Russia, a KGB guy is running the country, and this is all going to end very, very badly. Why? Because the function of a special service was originally designed for intelligence to protect the country, to deal with external security, yes. Do special services need any kind of reform? Do special services need people to be wealthy? Do special services need freedom of speech? No, they don't need any of that. They just want total control. That's their job and mindset. That's just how things are structured. That's why it should stay within its powers, not take more. I suspect they control Zelensky somehow and likely have compromising material on him. In short, things are very bad for us. Still fixable, but very bad. But the key thing here is that people need to be able to tell black from white for themselves. It's not about shouting or going to the Maidan. I just watch the news and clearly see what's bad and what's good. If they have doubts, you know how it is. But now there's a war. So what now, just because of that? Now everything should finally be turned right side up. But no, of course not.
People, I hope you will be critical of the news you see, and to make it easier for you, listen to the experts who come to our channel. Experts, I encourage you to come and share your thoughts. Our channel is about freedom. If you know how to ensure that economic, spiritual, and moral freedoms prevail in Ukraine, come and share your ideas. If you are against freedom, come and tell us your opinion, why freedom is bad. Everyone, thank you for being with us. All the best.
Thank you.